morning, children. Happy new month. Compliments of the season. Welcome to church. How was your week? My week was productive and good. I hope you were obedient children to your teachers, your friends, your parents, most importantly. And today at church, we are going to be praising God for all the things He has done for us over the week. And also, we're going to learn one or two things in the lesson. And today's lesson is Secrets of Church, Key Study, Hospitality. Hospitality, big word. Okay, let's just say hospitality can also mean caring. While you think about that, we'll be right back.
Good morning, children. How are we doing? Welcome to another Sunday service, and we're continuing our series on the secret of the church. But this week, we're talking about hospitality. And no, hospitality has nothing to do with doctors or going to the clinic. It's something different, and we'll discuss it today. And before we go into that, we're going to look at the lessons that we learned last week. So we continued learning about the secrets of the early church, and we learned that the results that they got were both spiritual results and physical results. And we saw many examples of miracles, people were healed. We also saw examples of divine provision, God providing for them. And we also saw examples of God's blessings all through the early church. And even till today, from that time, we're seeing the church continue to grow and to expand. So what is hospitality? Hospitality is when we welcome people into our homes and into our spaces and make them feel very comfortable. As you can see on the screen, you can see a young boy who is helping somebody come into the house, and you can see the huge smile on the person's face. So that's what hospitality is. And for today, we're going to have 3 Bible readings that talk about hospitality. And the first one is Acts chapter 21 from verses 1 to 10. So I'm going to quickly read it. Let's bring out our Bibles. And it's talking about when Paul goes to Jerusalem. After saying goodbye, we sailed straight to Kos. The next day we reached Rhodes, and from there sailed on to Patara. We found a ship going to Phoenicia, so we got on board and sailed off. We came within sight of Cyprus, and then sailed south of it onto the port of Tyre in Syria, where the ship was going to unload its cargo. We found the Lord's followers and stayed with them for a week. The Holy Spirit had told them to warn Paul not to go on to Jerusalem. But when the week was over, we started on our way again. All the men, together with all the wives and children, walked with us from the town to the seashore. We knelt on the beach and prayed. Then after saying goodbye to each other, we got on the ship and went back home. We sailed from Tyre to Ptolemais, where we greeted the followers and stayed with them for a day. The next day we went to Caesarea and stayed with Philip the preacher. He was one of the 7 men who helped the apostles, and he had 4 unmarried daughters who prophesied. We had been in Caesarea for several days when the prophet Agabus came to us from Judea. So in that passage, we can see that Paul and the apostles, they traveled to different places, and everywhere they went, the people were very hospitable. They welcomed them into the house and allowed them to sleep there, to eat, to fellowship with them. So all through the early church, the apostles went from house to house and made people feel comfortable. And because of this, new converts were very welcome, and the church continued to grow and to grow. There was no difference in the way people were treated, whether you were male, whether you were female, whether you were rich, whether you were poor. Everybody was united and treated the same way. Even the children were together and united. So our second reading is from Genesis 18 and verse 2. Abraham looked up and saw 3 men standing by. He quickly ran to meet them, bowed with his face to the ground, and said, "Please come to my home where I can serve you. I'll have some water brought so you can wash your feet, then you can rest under a tree." Now, some of us might be familiar with this story. Abraham was in his tent and he noticed 3 strangers who came by. And he went to go and meet them and offered them water to wash their feet and prepared food for them. And he didn't know that these 3 strangers were actually angels. And after he had served them, they told him about things to come. And he was able to intercede on behalf of his cousin. So this was another example of somebody being hospitable. Our third story is from 2 Kings chapter 4, from verse 8 to 17. So once, while Elisha was in the town of Shunem, he met a rich woman who invited him to her home for dinner. After that, whenever he was in Shunem, he would have a meal there with her and her husband. Some time later, the woman said to her husband, "I'm sure the man who comes here is a prophet of God. Why don't we build him a small room on the flat roof of our house? We can put a bed, a table, and a chair, and an oil lamp in it. Then whenever he comes, he can stay with us." The next time Elisha was in Shunem, he stopped at their house and went up to his room to rest. He said to his servant Gehazi, "This woman has been very helpful. Have her come up here to the roof for a moment. She came, and Elisha told Gehazi to say to her, You've gone to a lot of trouble for us, and we want to help you. Is there something we can request the king or the army commander to do? The woman answered, With my relatives nearby, I have everything I need. Then what can we do for her? Elisha asked Gehazi. Gehazi replied, I do know that her husband is old and that she doesn't have a son. Ask her to come here again, Elisha told the servant. He called for her, and she came and stood in the doorway of Elisha's room. Elisha said to her, Next year, at this time, you'll be holding your own baby son in your arms. You're a man of God, the woman replied. Please don't lie to me. But a few months later, the woman got pregnant. She gave birth to a son, just as Elisha had promised. So here's another example of somebody being hospitable. This Shunammite woman had no relationship with Elisha, but just noticed that he used to pass by her house, and she decided to give him food every time he passed. She didn't stop at that point. She went further and decided to build a room for him on top of her house. So every time he passed, he had somewhere to stay. And this is a very good example of hospitality shown by this woman. So here are some of the lessons that we can learn from these stories. First one is that hospitality starts from the little things. For example, just greeting somebody shows hospitality. I know that our daddies and our mommies have told us about greeting people in the morning. It's a great way to show hospitality. Another lesson is that the disciples treated everybody the same. I mentioned it earlier that there was no rich person, there was no poor person, no male, no female. Everybody was treated the same. Anywhere the apostles found followers, they were friendly and offered hospitality, and this helped the early church to grow. The third lesson is that God welcomes us to be part of His family and loves us unconditionally. We need to show the same because we are ambassadors of Christ on the earth. So the way God has given us unconditional love, we need to give unconditional love to the people we meet. The next lesson is that hospitality may be uncomfortable because we might need to share things that we don't want to share. So for example, you have one biscuit. You wanted to eat the whole biscuit, but now you have to break it in half and share it with somebody. It means less for you, but it's an opportunity for you to grow and not to be selfish or self-centered. And the last lesson for today is there are great benefits to welcoming people into our homes and showing them hospitality. Two examples we have are Abraham. After Abraham showed hospitality to the strangers, they blessed him, and out of that came the son Isaac. Same thing with the Shunammite woman. After she was kind and hospitable to Elisha, Elisha spoke the word concerning her and she gave birth to a son. So when we are hospitable, we also have the chance to get rewarded by God. We're not doing it for the rewards, but God does that as well. So do you have examples of how you can practice hospitality? If somebody doesn't have enough snacks for break, will you share with them? It's good to share with everyone. So here are a couple of ways that we can practice hospitality. One is by helping mommy and daddy at home. Whenever they have something to do, you can go and help them. Maybe you can fetch water for them, get water in a glass and give it to them. You can also take care of guests. When mommy and daddy have guests, you can help put together the snacks or the food and the drinks, and then you can serve them. And the easiest one is sharing with our friends when we're in school or we go out and play. And the last thing is praying for one another. It's very important to do that. So with that, we've come to the end of this lesson. And our memory verse is Galatians 6 and verse 10. And we'll say it together. So I'm going to count to 3 and then we'll say it. Are we ready? Okay, let's go. 1, 2, 3. We should help people whenever we can, especially if they are the followers of the Lord. So our memory verse once again is Galatians 6 and verse 10. We should help people whenever we can, especially if they are followers of the Lord. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.
Wow, children, I learned a lot from today's topic. I learned how to be very nice to people, to be caring, to be accommodating, to be helpful. I hope I'm going to impact that in my week today and every day of my life. I hope you do too. So when you go back to school during the week, be nice to your friend, be nice to everyone around you, and be caring. It's actually very rewarding. I hope you do that and have a blessed week and be good and stay blessed.